So I will be starting first. So the first thing that I do is I always check my opponent's cards because Deckbound's interesting in that you can always see what they are abilities rather, and you can see exactly what abilities they have and how much cooldown they have on those abilities. So you can try plan your turn around what you think they might do next turn. So when I look at Giannis's, we obviously just went through the deck, so I know what he has. But the one I pay attention to because I know he could do it next turn is do 2 damage to target, right? So normally what I would do is I would do 2 damage to everything, cap this, he takes 2, heal myself 3 on level 16 like I said. But with his deck, that doesn't make as much sense because then he'll just convert this back to neutral next turn, which essentially neutralizes the whole point of what I did. So I could still do that and have a little health advantage going forward, but that's what I did last time when I lost to him. So I'm going to try something a little bit new and we're going to see how it goes. So I'm going to do 2 damage to everything. I capture this outpost, but now I'm going to do 2 damage to everything again, which is going to let me capture this outpost on the end that has more health. I lost that one myself. We both took 4 damage, but now I'm set up to do some interesting things next turn with the 2 bigger outposts in the middle.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. I'm just gonna go ahead and directly damage you, because if I do capture this 2 health outpost, you'll just use an AoE splash damage on your turn and kick me out of it. So yeah.
So again, he's trying to predict what he thinks I'm gonna do my turn, and I'm trying to predict what I think he's gonna do his turn, which is why I always say that this is a hybrid of TCG and chess.
Yeah.
So now, again, first thing I always do... Oh, and we can talk about the map if you still want to talk about the map.
Yeah, of course.
But the first thing I always do, again, is I look at my opponent's cards, see what they're going to have cooled down. He's going to have 2 damage every turn, and he's going to be able to heal 4. So nothing super threatening there that scares me other than him pinging me for 2. So to make sure that if he hits me for 2, I'm still netting more health, I might heal 3. That's one thing I'm considering doing. The other thing I'm considering doing is doing 2 damage to everything because then I'll have 3 outposts. And the other thing that I'm thinking about doing is direct damaging him.
So I'm just gonna obviously heal myself up to 10 because that's a smart thing to do. So Sebastian can do 2 damage to everything. He can increase some health, and I'm just gonna probably go ahead and do this. That makes sense. That just make a lot of sense. Yeah. So I captured the strongest outpost because Sebastian left it with 2 health, and instead of capturing it himself, because he knew I will be able to use Occupy on opponent owned outpost on my next turn, he went for directly damaging me.
Right.
But yeah.
Which that explains exactly why my deck is not very good against Giannis's deck, because he always, at all times, has 2 counters to any node that I can have. Yeah. So every turn, if he wants, he can, at this point in the game, he can essentially take 2 of my nodes away, which totally neutralizes my ability to do damage, except for the AoE damage, which, again, isn't super helpful at this point.
Because keep in mind, it damages you yourself as well.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Right. Okay. So I really just don't have a choice as to what I can do.
So you're basically just losing your turn to neutralize my strongest outpost.
Right, because he can finish me next turn if I leave it up.
Yes. So I'm gonna use my occupy an opponent owned outpost now, and straight after occupying the outpost, I'd use the same outpost to directly damage Sebastian.
Which is why that card needs to be nerfed.
Okay. It needs to be more expensive, perhaps.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You shouldn't nerf it. However, we finish our first round. The state of map carries over to the second round. So, the only thing which what resets is our own hit points. So, player 1 and player 2 will have their hit points reset. Yeah, and everything else, however, it was at the end of the first round, we'll carry over to the second, and so on to the third as well.
I like that because it really changes the way you start the round.
Round
2 is so different than round 1.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing here is I, again, just want to neutralize the game because the more nodes I have, the stronger his deck becomes, which is why it's very, very hard for me to play against him. But I have some interesting cards that I can play turn 1 at the beginning of the next round. So all I'm going to do right now is neutralize everything. And the reason I went with my low damage abilities to do it is because I don't want to damage the 8 health node enough for him to be able to cap it on his first turn next turn. I mean, he can do it regardless, but he'll have to use his whole turn just to capture that 1 node. So, my math's right. That's it. And now we go to the next round. And when you know you're going to suicide like that, you always want to try to use that extra ability point you have before you suicide.
So you
Otherwise, you lose
kamikaze
that ability
specifically
point.
to clear the board, not go into round 2 at a severe disadvantage.
Correct.
All right.
Perfect.
Correct.
And now you start this one, or
I start this one.
Loser starts the following round.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
So, right. So,
I'm used to that.
so what I did is I cleared the board completely because I have a bunch of these great skills that allow me
No,
to
you
do
can
things
use your
like this.
underpowered ability. Yeah.
Oh, so now I have all 4 nodes. So I guess for now, all I'm going to do, because I know he's going to be able to pull a lot of burst damage off very soon, is I'm going to start building up health whenever I have an extra ability point. So right now I'd like to hit him, but I have nothing strong enough that can really hurt him, and all my AoE spells would hurt my own nodes, so I could have started with AoE, but then we would just be equal health and lower health, and I know he has 8 damage coming up in 7 turns, so I have to start building away in advance to make sure I have enough health to eat that 8. Because effectively, the more health I have, the more it neutralizes how good that card is.
So this is quite a scary sight. So
That's
I
the
have
psychological part of the strategy.
yeah,
Get your
never
opponent's
mind
head
all
less
that.
than 1.
Now when I look at the screen, I see 4 angry dragons pointing at me, which is quite horrible feeling. Yeah, yes, totally. However, I can still do stuff. So what I will do, I will increase my own health up to 20, just to be ready for Sebastian's super aggressive next turn, which will involve him doing 11 damage to me. So I'll do this, and I will also. I am thinking, so perhaps I should really aim for kicking Sebastian out of his smaller outpost with 2 health, but perhaps I should just use 4 damage to target and damage him directly. I think I'm going to go for that. And yeah, that's about it. Simple kind of answer. I didn't really have much more to do here, so.
And there's not much strategy for me on this turn, in the sense that this is what this deck's all about and what it's good at. Like, he's good at neutralizing this deck, unfortunately, but most decks aren't, so they can't remove all these outposts, and they have to remove the outposts or they're dead. So basically I can just start hitting for 11 until he does something to fix that amount of damage that I'm able to hit him for. So technically, if he doesn't do something dramatic next turn, the game's over.
Yeah.
Or the round's over, rather.
Exactly. I can really only survive another two more rounds. So he can do 11 damage at the turn. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do 2 damage and to one of his outposts, one of Sebastian's outposts, and heal myself a little bit. So I have just enough health to survive Sebastian's blast.
But again, the reason he's doing that is he wants to try to get that 8 cooldown card, damage card, cooled down by round 3. So I'm fairly certain, but he can correct me if I'm wrong, all he wants to do is survive as long as he can to buy cooldowns, and he doesn't actually care about winning this round at all. So he's just going to prolong it and then let me win it, and he's going to try and make sure that I have as few outposts as possible going into the next round, and that he has 8 damage available going into the next round.
Are you spinning something around now?
What I have to think about is if for the outpost he's going to try to clear up next turn, he could heal 2 and really buy another turn, but he probably won't do that. He's probably going to go and try to occupy the big outpost that can hit for 6, because that would be a good thing for him to end on. If he died with the biggest dragon, that's even better than dying with the board clear.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to try to do that. So what I may want to do instead is damage the dragon enough that when he goes to occupy it, I could kill it the following turn and still finish him if I want to.
So you're
So it's
thinking,
a tough
could you
decision.
direct damage from, let's say, the 5 to the 6?
Yeah, the problem is he can hit me for 6, right? So I don't want to do so much AoE that I lose. So this one's a tough decision round. And that's basically the strength of this deck is I want to have that occupy all outposts cooled off by the end of round 2. Because if I win round 1 or round 2, and I have occupy all outposts cooled down going into round 3, because that's my power card, then I can immediately control all 4 outposts going into the next round.
That's true.
But he almost has his 8 damage cooldown. If he gets that cooldown, he can technically finish me in 1 turn. So it's tough. That's smart.
A smarter way would have been me to not choose my occupy opponent on the outpost, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Last turn. So that you could have had a better gone into the next round a little better.
Exactly.
So now this is probably the best case scenario I could have had going into round 3 actually.
Yeah.
So all I'm gonna want to do is again have as many outposts as I can, and
I
I'm
still
just gonna
have
to try
yeah.
kill him as much as I can before he gets his 8 damage ready to go. So
It's
actually a close
actually
game,
really
yeah.
close.
So we'll see how this turns out. So
I have made a couple of mistakes.
Now, if I may, why don't you do... Oh, you want to capture it as well.
I want to capture all the outposts because they're all at full health.
Sure.
So I want to have all 4 going into next turn.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to finish him so that
With your
that way
direct,
I didn't waste my free ability point. Because if I did just kill him right away and got antsy, I wouldn't have those 2 outposts going into this round. And he still has 2 turns of cooldown on his occupy opponent outpost, so I literally don't have to be scared of that for 2 turns. I don't have to be scared of his 8 damage for 3, which means that buys me some time to actually finish him this round. The problem is if he prevents what I want to do from happening, which he may have done that, it's gonna be a really rough 2 rounds for me where I'm gonna immediately lose. So I'm curious to see.
I think
how
you
it's
are
gonna
in
play
a
out.
good place though. I think
I am.
yeah.
Definitely. Like this is literally the best place I could possibly be
Yeah.
for this final round. And again, he couldn't do anything for 2 rounds. That's really scary to me. So I'm just gonna ping him. And now I have to try finish him next turn.
Yes.
And he's just trying to hurt me as much as possible so that when that 8 damage is cooled down, he automatically wins.
Which is in 2 turns.
Right.
I think I'm done.
Yeah, I'm going to ping him for all the damage I have because this next turn, no matter what, he can't kill me.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have enough health regeneration to actually survive all the direct damage that I have. So it might be GG, but we'll find out.
Yeah,
Maybe there's something up
I
his
think
sleeve that
it's-
I'm not ready for.
I think this is totally GG. No matter what I do, no matter what I would occupy or destroy in regard to outposts, you'd still have enough to,
Finish off.
yeah.
And even if you had that heal 5, I think I would have enough damage to do it still.
Yeah. Very good guys.
And again, it shows how important it is going into the end of a round, controlling or having board control going into the beginning of the following round. Because I lost round 1 and I lost it pretty bad, but because I had board control going into round 2 and round 3, I'm gonna hopefully end up winning. Yep, and that's it.
And that is it.
So I'm going to ding him for 5. And then for fun, because I love my AoE card, I'm going to end the game with my AoE card.
Wow.
Good game, man.